Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Round Table.
You're tuned in to Roundtable. I'm Steve Hatherley today with Fei Fei and Yushun. Coming up, we're circling back through the week's episodes to pull out 3 moments, some different stories, different angles with no obvious reason that they belong together, but they do. The full circle is coming up. Our podcast listeners can find us at Roundtable China on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget that we love to hear from you too, so send your voice notes our way. Roundtablepodcast at qq.com. Once again, Roundtablepodcast at qq.com. And now.
3 stories, 1 connection. This is the full circle.
It is time for another edition of The Full Circle. It's a segment where we take 3 stories from this week's shows and draw a line between them. And we have to look a little bit more closely because that line is not obvious in the beginning. Fei Fei, you've got it today. Where do we begin?
So first of all, let's start from Tuesday with a story called Linking Degrees with Future Jobs. The most notable thing, not only here in China, but also on a global scale, is that we are seeing a bigger and bigger mismatch between jobs and the majors, the study programs that most students are able to enroll themselves in.
Meaning students were studying programs at university that were turning out to not be as applicable in the job market.
Yes, and that's where China is strengthening these links between these university programs and the real jobs in the companies. There are a lot of policies. They sort of basically they're promoting an integration among education, technology, and talent through, for example, joint programs. We talk about something called Outstanding Engineering Program. It's a master and doctoral program that's been launched among top universities and top companies, and they are sort of creating classes and programs and also together and also giving out degrees to a lot of these students as well.
It's about filling in the gap that exists, right?
Yes.
Okay, what's your next story?
And it's also from Tuesday. It's a story called When Love Takes the Stage.
Traditional matchmaking is getting a comedic glow-up. Across China, young singles are ditching awkward dinner dates and stepping into the spotlight, so to speak, at stand-up comedy matchmaking shows. Yeah, Yushun, I don't think you were here for this episode,
No.
right? What do you think about that topic?
That sounds interesting because when you were teasing or saying the topic that that kind of date could be awkward, well, I think these people really do need a stand-up comedy to meet up with each other and maybe developing to a romantic relationship through that kind of form.
Yeah, it kind of breaks the ice, so to speak. Well, smashes the ice, I guess.
Yeah, it's more spontaneous compared with before, in the old matchmaking activities.
Yeah,
really.
and young people are loving it these days. All right, your third and final topic.
The final topic is from Thursday. Is about revitalizing theatrical arts.
China has just released its brand new 3-year action plan for the revitalization of drama. This is a full-blown backstage upgrade that's involving everything from cultivating new generations of performing talents to shooting folk opera micro-dramas on social media. Yeah, that was one of the points that I brought up is these historical pieces with this historical art form and now putting it, vertically on phone screens. Is it cool? Is it not? Is it making it accessible to a new generation of people? Is it making it interesting to that new generation too?
Yeah, and also I think Yushan is on that show, and she shared a lot of, folk operas really in small cities, small counties, and how they're trying to survive and what kind of support they can get under this new plan.
Yeah, after the show that day, Yushan said to me, Steve, I could talk about that for 2 hours if you let me, that topic. She's really into that one. All right, so here we go with our 3 topics. Seemingly nothing to do with each other, Fei Fei, but you have found a link. Let's get to the full circle.
The common thread that I find among these three stories is really about traditions being reshaped by today's younger generation. So firstly, on the stand-up comedy as date night story, we talked about young people are transforming the traditional idea of matchmaking and they are turning it into interactive entertainment. So there is no formal setups, there's no nagging parents, there's no checklist for material standards like your salaries, but instead dating becomes something lighter and more spontaneous. It's about engagement, experimentation, and reshaping old social practices to fit modern lifestyles and aesthetics. And then on revitalizing theatrical arts, it's a broader push really to help traditional theater adapt to contemporary audiences. The action plan we talked about encourages new outreach methods such as microdrama on your phone. There are also technology taking part, but essentially it's about storytelling. How do you make old stories speak to today's world? How do you take classics from the shelves and bring them back to life for younger audiences? There are experimental productions out there trying to do that. They're turning traditional folk opera into serialized macrodramas for mobile screens or adapting contemporary novels into classical stage formats. And then finally, on the linking the education with employment. This story is really about changing from both directions. There are students exploring new paths. They're going back to vocational schools. They're trying out interdisciplinary studies, hands-on trainings. They're testing waters their teachers may never have touched before.
Or dared to touch.
Yes. And then at the same time, universities are rethinking how they train talents. They need closer collaboration with the industry. They need more practical training. They need programs designed around real economic needs. And the result is a shift from passively following predefined career paths to actively shaping opportunities, and in that process, reshaping the education system itself.
So it's about changing traditions for the better? Well, maybe not, but that's not really what it's about. It's about changing traditions to fit modern times.
Yes, because, that's traditions. Right now we have like matchmaking that feels really rigid and
archaic.
Focused on marriage is like a checklist of things that you need to fit in. And now it's finding new life in comedy clubs where laughter really helps break the ice. And then the traditional folk opera that struggles to attract to young audiences, they are having creative experiments and also new policies help it to find fresh ways into our modern life.
But the argument against could be there's no need to mess with something as beautiful as the traditional art.
Yeah, but that's a deeper question, I would say, is about what exactly is tradition, really. For many people, yes, tradition means preserving what's happened in the past and holding on to that familiar practices. But would tradition live on through generations?
Yeah, I think that's also seeking a kind of balance in this kind of tradition or art form, because you of course need to that elegant part of that art to keep it good, and also you need that part that can make more people can get access to it and have maybe better understanding and get to know it. And that is another way that this new or modern society really actually needs, is that you need to have that kind of way to spread it so quickly and so widely, so that it is also very vital for these kind of art as well. You need people to inherit it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. And this applies to the job market university story too, in the sense that traditionally speaking, you get your degree and then the university pushes you out the door like a mama bird does with her baby bird and says, good luck out there. That's traditional.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's getting a little facelift, because now before the graduation takes place, companies are getting involved. They're getting in there and saying, this is what we need. Here are problems that we have now. We need help fixing these. And as students, you can take these to your classrooms and work on them. These are real world problems. So tradition is an interesting topic, I guess, because I don't think we can say tradition is good or tradition is bad. It's not that easy, right? Because there's just so many different topics where tradition is applicable. But it's also an interesting topic for me, I think, being in China, because China, especially if you compare it to Canada, well, there's a whole lot more tradition in China than there is in Canada. Our country is very, very young. And it's, China's thousands of years old. So I wonder, when you say, Yushun, about, taking something like Peking opera and changing the stories to make it like Gen Alpha or Gen Z accessible, I wonder if that's like a little sensitive or not, because China has so much history and so much tradition.
Well, I think on some level, that's the question a lot of people been asking, really. Should we keep the old scripts of the Peking opera on stage as it is for hundreds of years, or we need new stories and new presentations? And what kind of new presentations we need?
And also, some of the practitioners are also seeking ways of both, I think, keeping it and also recommending it to more people. That's kind of a way that a lot of people are also seeking or trying to balance as well.
What's your personal opinion on that? Is it okay to make it modern? And because if you're gonna make it modern, does that mean does it mean that you're losing the tradition, or can we still make it modern and keep the tradition?
I think so, because that is how a lot of these things in the new society works. These supermarkets, if they're not doing e-commerce, doing online things, they will just fade away in these huge challenges.
That's a great example,
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these, even though that kind of traditional brands doing supermarket things, they're still developing online mini programs and apps for you to have more users, of course, to make this accessible to them. So, of course, but are people saying that I'm not going to the supermarkets anymore? Of course, no. So I think it is a good part when people can actually get both when they are trying to seek a balance in this.
That's a great point. Yeah, it doesn't mean A or B.
Yeah.
You can have them both.
Yeah, and also tradition goes. There is, on some level, over the path of history, there is a starting point for every tradition. And when that tradition started back in history, no one is really, questioning about it. And then, it just got passed down for many, many reasons through generations and generations. Some traditions just disappeared one day. Because also of many reasons, some persists. And it doesn't mean that the ones disappear are bad traditions and the one who persists are good traditions.
Yeah, sometimes they just fade away because, well, I don't know. Sometimes they're popular and sometimes they lose their popularity. I had a look on the internet to see, because I was curious, because I was trying to think in my own mind without doing any research, what Western traditions have kind of faded away. And I couldn't think of any on my own, so I found a few. I don't know if I'll share just a couple of these. I don't know if you have these in China or not. Do you know about class reunions?
Yep.
Do you have them in China?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Do people
like having alumni reunions?
Yeah, so you graduate from high school and then 10 years later, you'll have your 10-year
big reunion.
Yeah, your 10-year high school reunion, and everybody goes back to the town and hangs out at the high school, and they have a party or whatever.
Yeah, we have that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do people like it?
Well, it depends on how many years you've graduated. In the first 5 to 10 years, I think some people just don't like it. But my mom said after you graduated for 20 and even 30 years, you actually want to go back.
Oh, all due respect to your mom, I totally disagree with her. And this is one of the Western traditions that apparently is fading away. You can see Hollywood movies that are made on this topic, they went and did this career, but now they have to go back and see their ex-girlfriend from high school or something like that. So they were really popular. But social media, they say, has made high school reunions kind of irrelevant in Western culture now because you don't need to wonder what's going on with everybody. You can be connected to the people that you want to be connected to, and the other people, you just don't want to see them anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense though. If you're friends, you will be friends after no matter what.
But if you don't want to see them, you don't. Our high school had a 10-year class reunion.
Did you go?
No, I have no interest in that. Zero. None whatsoever.
There's no ex-girlfriend you want to...
It's not about avoiding people. It's just about, I don't know what it is about my personality, but I just had zero interest in going and reconnecting with those people. Because my friends from high school are still my friends today. So I would just be seeing people that I didn't really know in the first place. So why do I need to go back and like see people that I either didn't like or didn't hang out with when, I know all the people anyway?
I think that kind of reshape is inevitable when something is going that kind of long history. And that actually reminded me that in the past, people would just gather at home during the Spring Festival, right? And then they will homemade dinners, and that is a huge dinner, and everybody will come back. And now people will just...
That's the same, isn't it? Now?
But now people have new choices. They go to restaurants. They even order takeouts, which is like maybe strictly forbidden
Yeah,
10 years ago.
Grandma wouldn't like that at all.
Yeah. Like if you order from outside, you go outside for the Chinese New Year dinner, that's like you don't care.
It's kind of disrespectful
Yes,
in a way.
But
now it's totally changed.
Yeah, and another tradition I think of really is sort of fading away from me is about the ban, the taboo on cutting your hair in the first month of the Chinese calendar.
Oh, I don't know about this.
We have a belief, it can be kind of a spiritual, it's kind of superstitious. It's about if you cut your hair in the first month of the Chinese calendar, your uncle on your mother's side, something bad would happen to him.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not allowed to get my hair cut during that month.
When I went to Walmart to get my 10 yuan haircut, it was not busy at all.
Why.
And I thought I won the lottery that day. Usually there's like 10 people waiting. I hope my mom's uncle... Who?
But then, later, according to
uncle on her mother's
experts,
side.
this is a misunderstanding about an old tradition in the Qing dynasty, really. It has nothing to do with the uncle from your mother's side.
Okay.
This tradition doesn't make sense at all.
Well, still, I think I'm going to send a social media message to make sure everybody's okay after my Spring Festival haircut. Traditions, sometimes we keep them for a long time, sometimes they fade away, and sometimes they just get a little twist. And I think that's what we saw in those examples today. Thanks for that, Fei Fei.